Hi y'all, my name's Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I mentioned that I had had bariatric surgery, specifically the gastric sleeve surgery, and I wanted to film a video to tell y'all a little bit about where I had surgery and why I chose that route, and just the journey that I had to go to get that surgery. Really, 6 years ago, I was 280 pounds, high blood pressure. My son was premature, and ever since he was born, my blood pressure would not go down. So I was on blood pressure medicine, fluid medicine, heartburn medicine, extremely overweight. I was really depressed. I was not enjoying life at all. I had no drive to do anything, no motivation to do anything. It was a hard work just to go to work every day, much less be a single parent to a 9-year-old boy. So, at the time he wasn't 9, because this was 6 years ago. So, a friend of mine, or a friend of my mom's actually, had recently had the gastric sleeve done. And her and I had a talk about it, and she had, at the time, the same insurance company that I had. So I decided to call my insurance company and check on it. Well, even though we had the same insurance, obviously it wasn't the same policy, because my insurance at the time did not cover it no matter what. So I started researching it. At first, I thought I would just find a doctor here in the States, and we would take out medical loans to go get the gastric sleeve. But I also started locating surgeons and facilities in Mexico. I also was put in contact to 5 different people that actually had surgery at the same facility that I had surgery at in Tijuana, Mexico. I did a ton of research. I also did one of those Google Earths, so you could actually see the facility in real life. But it was called Pompeii Surgical. There was a few doctors there. I researched doctors. Once I chose the facility that I was going to have it, I researched every single doctor at that facility to see which one is the best. And I chose Dr. Saucedo, I think his full name was. Everybody called him Dr. S. But he was amazing. The facility there was amazing. My experience was great. But go into these specific details. I flew out. They walked me through the entire process from day one, from the moment that I made the appointment. They gave me calls, checked on me, how I was doing. They called to let me know when I was supposed to start my 2-week liquid diet, which it's not a requirement, because there's some doctors in the States that don't require the 2-week liquid diet, but most doctors do. So, and they called you along every step of the way to check on you. I flew out on a Friday. I also brought a friend with me. The facility allowed you to bring the friend, so you didn't have to pay extra for that. So we flew to San Diego, California on Friday morning, and they picked us up from the airport and drove us to the facility in Tijuana, Mexico. And we unloaded, got checked in. I had surgery that night. Saturday was just kind of a chill day around the facility. Saturday we also had to go and get a scan taken of our stomachs to make sure some kind of test to make sure everything was functioning properly and nothing was leaking. And once that test came back fine, they pulled our drain. Sunday, we left the facility and went to a beach house in Rosalina, Mexico. Actually, I'm wearing the shirt from Rosalina, Mexico. While I was there, I bought a very small shirt, hoping one day I would fit into it, and I finally fit into it, so that's exciting. So once we got to the beach house, you had the option. You could stay at a hotel in Tijuana, or you can be upgraded to a beach house in Rosalina. So that's exactly what we did. We went to the beach house, and it was amazing because they had people there that showed us how to make protein shakes, that walked us through every step of the way. Also, we had the driver, his name was Pineapple. He took us to some tourist shops and everything and let us buy souvenirs and look around the town. And then the next day, which was Monday morning, they brought us to the airport and we flew home. So I flew from San Diego to Nashville, and then from Nashville to New Orleans, which is where I'm from. So all in all, it was a really good experience. Before you left Mexico, they gave you any prescriptions that you needed or medications that you needed, which was not very many. Some of it was just like a thing that we had to drink for like a coating or something like that. And you only did that for a few days. But they also, every step along the way, once I came home, the facility, Pompeii, they had people there that would call me and let me know when I graduated to the next stage. You had to stay on liquids for a couple of weeks after surgery. And then when you graduated to puree foods and then soft foods and eventually hard food, solids foods, they called you along every step of the way. And I think I got my last phone call from them a few months post-op, checking on me. So all in all, my experience was absolutely amazing. One of the main things that I did prior to surgery was I became aware that a few people, when I was doing research on this, I was basically trying to find the bad. Obviously, the good is great, but you want to find the bad because the bad is how you're going to make your decisions. So I noticed a pattern that a lot of people were having trouble finding physicians in the United States that would treat them post-operatively since they had the surgery out of the country. So I made sure to make an appointment with my primary care doctor. I discussed with him what I wanted to do and how I was going about doing it, and he was all on board. He actually called one of his nurses on his cell phone because she had just come back from one of the places in Mexico. And so I was able to talk to her and ask questions about, to her as well. So he was really on board with all of this. So I was very blessed and lucky that when I came home, I didn't have to worry and stress about that. I didn't have any complications. When I got home from surgery, I did make an appointment with my internal medicine doctor just so he can evaluate me and see what was going on. I offered him the facility that I had surgery at in Mexico, gave me USB drives with the entire laparoscopic surgery. And obviously I don't think he really wanted to see that, but I brought all of that with him, including the x-ray that I had in Mexico, so he was able to review all of that information. And then the next time I went back to my primary care doctor was to have stitches removed. Other than that, my recovery went smoothly. I did not have complications. It was an uncomfortable surgery for sure. I gotta say, they say when you have laparoscopic surgery, the more you move around after surgery, the better the pain gets. A couple days, after surgery, once they pulled that drain, I was almost completely fine, just taking ibuprofen or something like that, or Tylenol is what they gave us. And so but that drain, I was so uncomfortable with that drain that I think that limited how much I wanted to move. But once I was able to get that drain taken out, that was probably the worst part of the whole experience, was when they pulled that drain. That was pretty bad. Pretty bad. I don't ever want to do that again. So all in all, I have no complaints about my travel to Tijuana to have surgery. Like I said, Pompeii Surgical, it was a clean facility. They only perform GI surgeries there. So, and like I said, the physician that I had, the surgeon that I had, he was excellent. The staff there was excellent as well. They were very, very helpful. I'm not trying to promote them or anything, but if anybody wanted that information, there you go. But please discuss anything with your doctor. I'm I'm by no means a medical professional. But after I recovered completely from the gastric sleeve, the first year was a struggle for me, especially mentally, because you meet a lot of people when you're doing research and you join the bariatric groups on Facebook and everything like that. You meet a lot of people. And so after surgery, you're also following their journeys as well. And you see all these people in the first year drop all this weight and look fantastic. I wasn't one of those people. For a couple of months, it was really frustrating. I did not understand what was going on. I thought I was defective, really. But it took a minute for my brain to kick in and realize, okay, the scale's not moving, but something's not right, because I was eating appropriately. I was eating very minimal amounts, because at that time my stomach was a lot smaller than it is now. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but my brain finally kicked in gear, and I asked my mom to help me take my measurements. So every 2 weeks or so, I would take all of my measurements. That first year after surgery, I lost 19 inches, but not 1 pound. It was unbelievable, but I don't know. I'm amazed how that is actually possible, but it happened. And then the following year after that, I did start losing weight, and I was starting to increase my physical activity as well. I knew I wasn't a gym person. I've never been the type to stick with the gym. I know my faults. I'm just not going to do that. But I did discover a love of gardening. I wanted to start eating healthier, and what way to do that than to grow your own food? So I got into gardening, and at first it was just a very small thing. I just built a raised bed. In another video, I'll take a tour on the garden. Nothing's really growing right now. It's all coming to an end, but I digress. It started really small with just one raised bed, just growing a few things. And then as soon as all those things started growing in that bed, I immediately started thinking, I need to make this bigger. So my mom had one of those little electric tillers, so I borrowed that from her, and I started tilling up my backyard, or a portion of my backyard, should I say. And at first, I just started with the half of the portion that was behind my garage, and I planted in that. And after I planted in that fall garden was so successful, and I got so much stuff from it, I immediately was like, I got to expand again. So on the other side from that area, I built 3 more raised beds, and I gardened in those. Now, the following year after that, I ended up taking those raised beds and moving them to a different part in the yard and just tilling up the rest of that area and making one big in-ground garden. And since then, it has worked out fantastic. I've been able to grow my onions and potatoes, and I know I've previously said in my introduction video that I am now carnivore. Yes, that is correct. I think the only thing that I am going to grow, and that's not until the end of this year, was onions, and that's because I can make my own onion powder. And I love to grow, and I love to garden, and not only that, but that provided me with so much exercise. I am the type of person that when I get bored, I want to eat. It's something to do. So if I'm sitting here on the sofa watching TV, or, just sitting here flipping through the phone, I'm looking to eat because I get bored from the inactivity. So I've learned to adapt, and now it's easier for me, but back then I had to force it. That I would force myself to get up, go outside and do something and keep busy no matter what. Even if I was cleaning or laundry, I don't care if it was chores. I stayed busy. If I sat down, I didn't sit down for any length of time. And over the years, it's become a running joke that I don't even turn my TV on anymore. Actually, my son turns the TV on more than I do. So gardening became my oasis, my relaxation, not only that, but my exercise. I was out there for the entire day in the summer, and for those of you who don't know, I live in New Orleans, or in the surrounding areas of New Orleans, and we get really hot during the summer, like very hot. The humidity, it feels like you walk outside and it feels like you're drowning in your own like fluids. That's how bad it is. The second you walk out, you just start sweating in the summer. So, and most of the time we only have 2 seasons. We don't have 4 seasons. Our weather goes from one extreme to the next. But, so during the summer, I'm out there, and of course I'm a single parent, so I'm in charge of mowing my lawn, weed eating my lawn. So that provided me with my outside gym, I guess you can say, because I was out there sweating, just drinking water all day long. I made a deal with myself that whenever I would go out and cut the grass and do garden work, I would stay outside all day with water, because I have a fridge in my garage, so I would, guzzle water all day. But I wouldn't come back inside because I didn't want to track dirt in my house, because then I would have to clean that up. So it forced me to where I was staying really active and sweating, and for one day a week on the weekend or something, you can do that, where you just go out and eat breakfast, you go out and you stay out all day. And that was when the weight started coming off. I had lost 50 pounds that year, the first year I started gardening, and I was very grateful for those 50 pounds. But it was almost like I kind of stalled a little bit. I couldn't go further than the 50 pounds. And so I did go through a period of frustration with myself. But then again, I just started, putting my head to it, thinking about it. What can I change? What can I do different to fix this? How do I change it up? And that was when I attempted keto for the first time. I enjoyed keto. I lost some weight on keto, but it was just, I didn't like counting all of that stuff. I just do not like the complexity of that diet. I wanted things to be very simple. I wanted to be able to look at something and know that I can eat it. So, keto didn't last long. But then I discovered Slim Fast Shakes, and that worked very, very well. But again, like I mentioned in my last video, I was drinking sometimes just 1 shake a day and then eating a meal, but then sometimes 2 shakes a day and eating a meal, and that meal would be a salad. And it worked. I lost weight. Like I said, I am down 120 pounds as of right now, and I want to lose more. I am at 152 currently, but I would really like to get down to a healthy body weight, a body weight where I'm not considered overweight anymore. Currently, medically, I am still considered overweight. I've graduated from morbid obesity to just obesity, and then now to just overweight, so yay. But I want to be down to a healthy weight. I want even more energy than I have now. I love the way that this feels, and I want to keep on going and keep attaining those goals and setting higher goals for myself. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And that has led me to the carnivore diet. And I am going to do another video on how I discovered this diet and what intrigued me about it, and the pros and cons and the different things that I'm trying to fix with this diet in a different video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Give it a like. Thank you so much. Bye.